We're here for a very serious purpose, and that is to call upon Congressman Conyers to open hearings leading to the impeachment of President Bush and Vice President Cheney. Some of you might have heard Congressman Kucinich reading his 39-point resolution with crimes that are so clear, so manifest, so out in the open, and so documented. Violations of treaties, violations of the Constitution, the UN Charter. How could Congress, specifically the Judiciary Committee, not hold hearings leading to impeachment? If they do not, they will place political calculus above principle and law and what's right for the country. We need to do something, and it needs to begin now to staunch the erosion of the Bill of Rights, restore accountability, and the rule of law. It should do no less. I want to emphasize one of the major points in all of this is that unless this administration is held accountable, the next president of whatever party, and I think that's how Mike and Elliot began back at the VFP convention in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, of whatever party, will inherit through precedent extraordinary unconstitutional powers that are destructive of the founder's system of checks and balances. If these presidential powers remain unchecked, they will grow and we will lose our freedoms in our country. So it's about separation of powers, legal issues, and above all, to me, about moral and human rights. At this time, I'd like to call on any veteran who would like to tell us why he is here, he or she is here, to call for the impeachment of the president.
Well, I'm Tarak Tauf. I'm from New York. I'm here on behalf of hundreds of people who have signed this petition to impeach the president. And my reasons are I took an oath to defend and uphold the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. When I joined the service, that oath is still very meaningful to me. And also, when we have the impeachment clause in the Constitution, it speaks about high crimes and misdemeanors. And to me, that has a very real meaning. It's more than just mild felonies like bank robbing. We're talking about the lives of hundreds of thousands of human beings which have been squandered because of the Bush administration. We're talking about something that is as serious as anything has ever happened. We're talking about torture. We're talking about spying on American citizens. If these are not grounds for impeachment, I don't know what is. That's why I'm here.
I'm Hervey Harris. I'm from New York, upstate New York. I'm here to represent these petitioners because we have to hold our leaders accountable. And without impeachment, our constitutional processes just become a hollow promise.
My name is Adam Kokesh. I served as a sergeant on the Marine Corps Civil Affairs team in the Fallujah area from February to September 2004. I'm here representing Veterans for Peace and the thousands of people who have signed this petition to demand the impeachment of the president and to bring that pressure to bear upon Representative Conyers as the chairman of the Judiciary Committee to bring about those hearings. It's sad to see that, having sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution himself, that he has abdicated that responsibility and said that he will only do so when adequate pressure is brought to bear, and that it takes concerned citizens bringing what really amounts to him as simply electoral pressure to bring about accountability under the rule of law under the U.S. Constitution. Having sworn an oath to support that document myself, which I believe to be the embodiment of the values set forth in the Declaration of the Independence and the values of every individual's right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, when the Constitution, that is the governing document that is the embodiment of those values, is violated, we see real violations of individuals' rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And for those of us who have fought in Iraq and are victims of some of those violations, these have very real consequences. And for me, it's the sick feeling I get in my stomach when I think that every time I think about having enthusiastically risked my life for a lie in Iraq.
My name is Anthony Teolis, and I'm a member of Veterans for Peace in Washington, D.C. I want my representative in the U.S. House of Representatives to vote to impeach President Bush for high crimes described in the case for impeachment made by Veterans for Peace, and have the case prosecuted and tried in the U.S. Senate. On behalf of Chad and Carolyn Smith White, San Francisco, California.
My name is Michael Marceau. I am Vice President of the DC chapter of Veterans for Peace, and I'm here on behalf of some of these people who have signed our petition to impeach the President and the Vice President for high crimes and misdemeanors. I also speak as a disabled Vietnam veteran who spent 8 months at Walter Reed Hospital in 1970 and 71. I am urging the Senate to start the impeachment proceedings, to hold our President and our Vice President responsible for abuse of the laws of this land. I see many people in Walter Reed Hospital who are suffering from their injuries occurred in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places on the front lines of the global war on terror, whatever that is. I see these people who have constantly dealing with canceled appointments, lost records, uncaring medical personnel, and they are just stuck in this place with nowhere to go. I'm calling on our elected representatives to hold our President and our Vice President accountable for these actions and to take care of these young men and women who step forward when their country asks them to serve.
Elliot Adams, you may or may not know Elliot, President of Veterans for Peace, who was a paratrooper in the infantry serving in Vietnam, Japan, Korea, and Alaska. And he's been active in his local VFP chapter in Albany, as well as regionally and nationally. He's also worked closely with IVAW, Iraq Veterans Against the War, during his formative years. Most days, he says, he's on the road visiting VFP chapters and filling speaking requests. Elliot Adams.
Thank you. I'm Elliot Adams, President of Veterans for Peace. We have about 7,000 members nationally, 120 chapters. You can visit us at www.veteransforpeace.org. We're here today representing 22,000 people who signed petitions calling for the impeachment of President Bush and Vice President Cheney for high crimes and misdemeanors, for violation of the Geneva Accords, the Nuremberg Principles, the UN Charter, the U.S. Constitution, the laws the laws of land warfare. But this is, so as veterans, we took an oath to protect the Constitution from enemies, foreign and domestic, and we all, as veterans, hold that oath very seriously and very high, and continue in our effort to defend that, and that is why we are calling for the impeachment of the President. But it is not just impeachment of a couple of administration officials of this administration. It's about democracy. It isn't about impeaching a president, it's about defending democracy. It is about whether we are going to continue to have a government by the people and for the people. We cannot in good conscience stand by and watch this administration trample on, sodden, misuse, disrespect the Constitution and the laws that it holds and makes them empowers. To do so would be to simply stand by and watch that bright hope of an America that our founding fathers envisioned and brought forth, to watch it slip and disappear into the dark waters of a unitary presidency. Another name for a road to a totalitarian state. The choice is not whether to impeach President Bush or just let him leave office. The choice is whether to defend America or to defend democracy or to lose it. If we do not demand law and order at the highest levels, if we do not take these people who commit crimes to court for a fair trial, we are giving the green light for future presidents to do the same thing and to do worse. It is a time for America to choose between defending America and losing democracy. Thanks.
Mike Furner, sitting right here, is the author of Inside the Red Zone, a Veteran for Peace reports from Iraq, based on his trips to that country just prior to the U.S. invasion and a year later. His news and commentary articles have appeared in daily newspapers and numerous internet sites. He's been arrested several times for non-violently protesting the Iraq War, served on the Toledo City Council, and worked as a union organizer. Navy corpsman from 69 through 73. He was discharged as a conscientious objector and has been a VFP member since 1985.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you very much for coming to this. I would like to add a historical note about the impeachment petition. It was referred to, but I want to make it real clear for anybody that thinks that this is some kind of partisan project. In 2004, in July or August, whenever the VFP convention was in Boston, obviously prior to the 2004 election, I introduced a resolution that said that whoever is in the White House come January of 2005, they have 10 days to declare publicly that they are intending to withdraw U.S. troops within 60 days. And if they didn't, that Veterans for Peace would begin an impeachment petition and join the impeachment effort around the country already underway on behalf of many people. Well, as you know, George Bush is now still the occupant of the White House and has not done any of the above. And so we began the impeachment petition, and we would have been just as glad to do that if John Kerry would have won and had dragged his feet getting out of Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's where this thing originated. Veterans for Peace is for impeachment because firsthand we know what it sounds and smells and looks and feels like when politicians send young men and women to war. Veterans for Peace is for impeachment because we pick up the pieces on the battlefield, transport them to hospitals, dress their wounds 3 times a day, empty their colostomy bags, answer their screaming nightmares, turn their paralyzed bodies so they don't get bed sores, and clean the gaping holes in their flesh when that fails after years in a VA hospital. Veterans for Peace is for impeachment because we have sworn to defend from all enemies, foreign and domestic, a Constitution that declares in the very first line that we the people are the source of all political power and authority in this nation, not a tyranny of corporate chieftains and their subordinates in government. Veterans for Peace is for impeachment because it breaks our hearts to know how many innocent families here and in Iraq have suffered when an insulated criminal administration of privileged elites violates U.S. law, such as the War Crimes Act of 1996 and legally binding international standards such as the Geneva Conventions, UN Charter, and the Nuremberg Principles. Veterans for Peace is for impeachment because it is the law. And nothing grinds a soldier more than seeing those in position of authority get away with behavior for which a grunt would be severely disciplined. We are glad that Congressman Conyers has agreed to meet with us, a man that has been on the side of justice in many battles over the years. But we are mystified that so many of our elected officials lack the political will to prosecute these grievous violations. And while so many of our fellow citizens theoretically, and according to opinion polls, believe in holding them accountable, we have yet to see that whirlwind of citizen anger sufficient to throw this administration and those who quake before them out of office and into prison where they belong. Regardless of these disappointments in our elected officials to this date, Veterans for Peace will not become immobilized by cynicism or despair. Representative Dennis Kucinich has introduced 35 articles of impeachment, and the House will soon vote on them, deadline of tomorrow. Today we will deliver our petitions to Congressman Conyers, who has the authority and the responsibility to initiate impeachment hearings. And we take constant encouragement from the words of a great patriot, Samuel Adams, who correctly believed that it's not necessary to have a majority, but an intent minority keen to set brush fires in people's minds. And we intend to keep doing that. Thank you.
It's been said by some of the leadership, and I was told this by the press today, that, well, the House leadership says it's going to do, it's going to die there. Well, let me just tell you something. This resolution is a little bit different than any other kind of resolution. Under the rules of the House, a privilege resolution is one, particularly with respect to impeachment, is able to be brought to the floor at any time. What that means is that I'm going to give the committee a month to do something. And if you don't come back in a month, I'm going to bring it forward again. I'm going to bring it forward again, and the next time it's not going to be 35 counts, it's going to be 60 counts. And so I'm just telling you that in the meantime, what needs to be done is that people need to contact the members of Congress all over the country and tell them to sign on to the resolution. Read the resolution first, ask them to read it, and second, after they read it, to sign on. I would call and give them a week to read it. Call back after a week and say, have you read it? What's your position? And just keep in mind, if they don't have hearings in a month, I'm going to bring it back. And so we got to start. I'll give you a date on the calendar. I'll even be able to tell you the date of when I'm going to bring it. And if they don't, but this is not going to stop. I am determined that our Constitution is not going to be trampled on. Here's what keeps me going. I know you are. I look at you. You've served that country without it. I think of the young men and women who've given their lives. I think of the ones that are still out there, whose lives are at risk. This war was based on lives. None of us would hesitate to defend this country when we know the cause of the nation is at stake. But something else happened, and we need to defend the honor of those who are serving. We need to defend the honor of those who have sacrificed their lives. And the only one way to do it is to stand up for the Constitution and for this Congress to do the right thing that our founders set in motion over 200 years ago. They put the articles, the ability to impeach, they put it in the Constitution so we'd have a check and balance, so you wouldn't have. This is the difference between having a king or a dictator. The articles of impeachment were always the one restraint on administrative abuse of power that would keep things in balance. So if we don't use this, we are actually throwing our democracy out the window.
That's absolutely right.
And that's what binds us. So I've got to go, but I would ask you, keep telling people they can go to our site or they can go to the web and just, Kucinich impeachment articles, type that in, they'll find it. People should read it. The first thing is, we've got to tell people, read the articles. This next month has to be an education campaign. Okay, everybody has to finish. I've got to go upstairs.
Hey, thanks for that.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, we're with you, Mr. Kucinich. Keep up the good fight.
Greetings. How are you doing? Great to have you here. Pleasure to be with you.
We, as members of Veterans for Peace, come with a variety of things. One is we want to thank you for initiating the special prosecutor process. We have for you a summation of the laws we see were violated and the list of violations, specific ones. We also have for you, as I recall, you were a veteran also.
As you recall, that tour of duty in Korea is more than me recalling it. A lot of my buddies didn't come back. And by the way, I don't recall being invited to join Veterans for Peace.
You're being invited now.
Yes, because I am a veteran and I am for peace. And I think I qualify.
We think you qualify also.
Thank you.
And I also, after I got out of Vietnam, served in Korea, so I feel a particular connection to the Korean War, even though I wasn't involved in the Korean War.
Right.
I'm sure you remember General Smedley Butler.
Do I have to?
From War is a Racket.
Oh, yes.
And he spoke before Congress.
Yes.
Trying to avoid another war.
Right. Is this his publication?
That is his I would call it almost an essay, very short little booklet.
Where is he now?
He is under the ground.
Yes.
And I find it a very, very useful document, particularly because it is so old. Because when we read it, we don't get involved in the politics of the time. You can see what was actually happening then, and then you can apply the profiteering becomes more obvious. Also included are some other documents that we communicated with you, our publication. The Iraq Veterans Against the War, commend to you this DVD of the Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
The new Winter Soldier. And the testimony that they brought up, about which is very pertinent to impeachment.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it. Obviously, there's a VFP button, so when you become a member, you already have a button.
Can I be premature in this?
We would be honored. Absolutely. We would be honored.
Thank you, sir.
I don't think there'll be any problem.
As you know, we've had some petitions out about impeachment. We've received 22,000 signatures. There's involved in two different petitions. One petition is we were very careful to get it was done on the web. We got the names and addresses of each individual person to be sure that they didn't. Sometimes they vote more than once. We want to be very clear about that. The other petition was taken mostly in Wisconsin, by VFP members, and was gotten individually from people. As veterans, and you too as a veteran, know how important that oath we all took to defend the Constitution from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And we feel so strong that to allow any violation of that Constitution as is happening now is to it is not just about a president, a vice president, and a few officers in the administration. It is about maintaining our democracy.
Couldn't agree with you more.
So we have, if people would like to come up and deliver the petitions, and maybe even say a little bit why you are supporting the petition.
Okay. Where's Ben? I'd like you to go down and I've got those 2 stacks of books. Sure. See if you can get one of the other fellows to bring them.
Congressman, we have tens of thousands of
Tell me your name.
petition signatures. I'm Bill Perry from the 8th Congressional District, Patrick Murphy's district in Pennsylvania. We represent Delaware Valley Veterans for America. We're a member of Veterans for Peace, Vietnam Veterans Against the War, and veterans of all eras, which would include Korea. We feel, based on what we did on June 16th, 2005, after the basement hearings, when you led us in a rally with Barbara Lee and Maxine Waters and so many others, you actually delivered the petitions across the street for us.
That's right.
We almost feel betrayed, my brother. But we wish you could do as much as you can possibly do with these petitions. And we thank you for your time, trouble, effort, and concern.
Well, I don't want you to feel betrayed. I didn't come here to betray you.
I'm in your wife's corner. Keep that in mind. Everything she did with City Council in Detroit, I'm right there with her.
Well, I'm glad to know that. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
So if we can try to keep our messages short and...
Hi, Congressman Conyers.
Greetings.
So I thank you so very much. Rhoda Ozen, United States Air Force 7577. And I delivered to you these petitions.
Oh, boy.
And after the 35 articles that were introduced with documentation, I do feel that it is time to end this. And I just wanted to thank you so much because when I first started calling Congress, you answered your own phone. And when I was finished, you said, bless you, sweetie. And I never forgot you, and I kept you here, and I trust you as the great jurist that you are, that you will understand why these children can no longer die. Thank you.
I'm doing fine.
Good. I'm Arnold Peters, and I'm doing not so fine.
Mr. Pearson.
Yes.
I'm glad you're here.
Thank you. I was very warmed by the fact that you admitted being a veteran and acknowledged it, and that you're one of us. I appreciate that. Thank you. And here's more.
Okay. Where are they from?
A variety of Wisconsin, all over.
All over? Okay, good. Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
Good afternoon.
I'm Tara Kaufman from New York.
What's our last name?
Kauf.
Kelf. K-E-L-F.
K-A-U-F-F.
K-A-U-F-F. Kelf.
and I'm from New York. And I just want to say, I appreciate you meeting with us, and I appreciate all the things that you've done in the history of your service to this country, including you being a veteran in Korea. And I think you have an opportunity now to change the course of history and avoid something which is potentially disastrous for all of us, for the whole world. And I think that depends on following the path of justice, following the Constitution. I don't want to lecture you because you know all of this, but
I want to hear you out, all of you, because you traveled a great distance, you use your resources, you're here because of your own expenditure of time, and this is an important part of my work.
Well, I think we all just feel that following the Constitution and striving for justice and striving to bring justice to those that have transgressed the law so badly, in talking about the Bush administration, is more important right now than any election of any president. This bodes for the whole future of our democracy. This is why we're so strong on instituting impeachment and hearings. And I just hope you can honor that.
Well, that's a point that I'm going to invite all of you back to discuss these matters that you've raised with me. And I want you to think, I hope you come back when we have a further discussion, because you said something that struck a nerve with me, that this impeachment that you recommend so strongly is more important than any election.
We think it is because it reflects on the whole democracy that we're representing. And we're talking about the possible institution of a unitary executive, which is something that we really want to avoid. And we don't want the world to see that we've allowed crimes to be committed by our highest officials and just gone unanswered. And the world is seeing that, and they're looking at us. So I think it's pretty critical.
Thanks
Thank
for
you very
coming.
Much.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
I'm from the Washington, D.C. area.
Good.
And I'm just here to ask you to please protect our Constitution from the domestic enemies that occupy the White House and to restore our democracy to its greatness.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really, thank you so much for meeting with us.
Pleased to meet you.
Congressman,
Good
thank you.
afternoon.
I'm Herbie Harris from upstate New York, multi-district.
Oh, yes.
I'd like to
Wow. How many petitions? More than a couple hundred, huh?
I think the majority of the country is behind us on this, and I think it's so important to demand accountability on the part of our government, and without it, our democracy is in grave danger, and it's very important to use the powers contained in the Constitution.
Absolutely. Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Good meeting you.
Hello, Congressman. My name is Gary Hosey. I'm a native of D.C.
Great to see you.
I live in Congressman Wayne Gilchrist's district.
Oh, yes.
Just a couple of thoughts. We had John Dean in '74. Remember John Dean?
I know him very well.
We have Scott McClellan in '08.
He's coming to a hearing that I'm having.
I don't see any difference other than a political one. I put them in the same boat. I'd just like to share a feeling with you. It's just a feeling. Impeach the bastards. Thank you for your time, sir.
Let me ask you this, sir. Thank you for your deeply felt statement. How many of those bastards do you think there are around?
I can come up with a couple right off the top of my head.
Okay, so can I.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming.
I'm Ron Fisher.
Mr. Fisher, it's a pleasure.
Navy Captain, Duke Submariner.
Oh.
And I'd like to give you these.
About how many are those?
A couple hundred. I didn't get all of them.
Yeah.
But I hope you will certainly impeach. It's absolutely essential to our country. It will end this war peacefully right now. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name's Adam Kokesh. I'm also a member of Rock Veterans Against the War from Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I'm not here to blow hot air up your ass like some of these other people have, but I hope that the petitions in front of you have made it clear that there is significant public pressure and support for impeachment at this point. And I know you don't get to 21 terms in Congress without being concerned about re-election, and I hope that these petitions make it clear that not impeaching is a greater liability for you than impeaching at this point. And I hope that, having known that impeachable offenses have been committed for some time now, that you will finally take it upon yourself to do what you can to support that impeachment and support your own oath to support the Constitution, instead of advocating that responsibility as you have thus far.
Well, just a minute. I think you should know that the 21 terms that I have been voted into office didn't come from me currying favor with my constituents as much as it is for doing the kind of job that they wanted me to do. So I don't think that I got here by backing off of the strong issues. As a matter of fact, my record might indicate to even you that it's because I took on the difficult issues that I am now the second most senior person in the House of Representatives.
And that's why it's all the more surprising that you haven't yet brought impeachment hearings.
Well, let us decide how we're going to discuss this subject. Since it's surprising to you, I didn't agree to this meeting because I was going to try not to let you know what has been happening and what it is I intend to do about it. Maybe you will be surprised again.
I hope so.
Hello, Congressman. My name is Michael Marceau. I'm with the DC chapter. Marceau, like Marcel Marceau.
Oh, yes.
And I'm with the DC chapter of Veterans for Peace here. We appreciate your time this afternoon. And one of the issues that I'm concerned with is the treatment of the young men and young women who are having major problems at Walter Reed Hospital and Bethesda Naval Hospital and all the other hospitals.
Exactly.
I am a disabled Vietnam vet. I spent 8 months at Walter Reed Hospital, so I have complete empathy and sympathy for some of the things that those folks are going through. They're trying to struggle to make their appointments in spite of canceled appointments, in spite of lost records, in spite of staff who may not be as caring as we need them to be and we want them to be. So we're just coming to you today to ask you to pursue this issue of impeachment, since malfeasance means that those in this administration have neglected their duties to those whom they put in harm's way. And we're going to be continually putting pressure on those that need to help you out to bring this forward. And we're looking forward to working with you to get this to a good resolution here. And on behalf of Veterans for Peace Washington, D.C. chapter, welcome home.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Take care now.
All right.
Hello, Congressman Conyers. My name's Anthony Teolis. I'm here with Veterans for Peace in Washington, D.C. I come from a family of veterans, and on behalf of Alexander Burke in Redwood City, California, who tops the list of these petitions, which I've been in charge of for the past 2 months. They've been hiding under my desk, and now they're here handing to you. Please impeach. Please pursue impeachment. We know this can be done in a short amount of time. I'm a veteran of the first Gulf War. I got suckered in by George Bush's father with the incubator babies. If you remember the first Gulf War and the incubator babies, I'm one of the people that was handled and shipped off. Couldn't wait to get there. Couldn't wait to get home. And I don't want to see anybody else go back. If we impeach this president, we can stop war on the poor people, on the colored people of the world, and that's what they're waiting for.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for seeing us, Mr. Chairman.
Pleasure.
My name's David Williams, and I'm from Alexandria, local guy.
Alexandria, Virginia.
Yes, sir. And I have several hundred petitions here that all people in good faith are asking the same thing I'm asking today, is that for you to please seriously consider our request for impeachment. It's the Congressman Kucinich's articles are long, the evidence is strong, the American people want this, Our system of government needs it to survive. It's imperative that we show the world that as Americans we can hold our own people accountable. And I appreciate your consideration. Thank you again for seeing us, and I leave you with this and hope that you'll wear that on the floor, sir.
I'm not going to be able to do that until I announce what it is I'm going to do.
And we're eager to hear that, sir. I hope you fill us in on that. Thank you very much.
All right.
Congressman Conyers, I've met you before. Leslie Angeline. And I beg of you to...
I'll say you've met me before. Every doggone hearing almost.
So I really believe in impeachment, and I beg you to start impeachment to end this war in Iraq and to prevent a war from happening in Iran. Please, sir.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Hi, I'm Ann Wilcox.
Hello.
We've met before. I'm a member of the National Lawyers Guild and just wanted to
Oh,
add my
great.
voice to the call for accountability and also for not rolling back our civil liberties and personal freedoms. I know there's been a lot of trend in that direction in this administration. We need to stop that.
Were you at the Gill convention when I addressed them?
I was, actually, yes. I thought that was a very good discussion. We're
Yeah.
glad you came. So.
And were you there, were you at our hearings in which your president, Margaret Cohen, was a outstanding witness?
Oh, yes, yes. I've seen some of that and heard the reports. I'm glad you've invited her to speak. We appreciate that dialogue. So thank you for meeting with us. Thank you.
Joe Adamonte, New
Hello,
Jersey.
Joe.
How are you?
Pleasure.
Present these to you. On the matter of impeachment, I think it's an obligation. It's a separation of powers issue, Chairman Conyers. And I think you realize that someone wrote me an email a couple of days ago asking me and telling me that this would be divisive. This to me echoed Speaker Pelosi's statement that impeachment was off the table. I'd like to read you this brief response, if you don't mind.
Please.
And I can share it. I wish an election would solve the problem created by the Bush administration. The problem is power, that the founders never intended to be in the hands of the president. If Bush leaves office without a challenge to the power he says is his alone, to declare anyone an enemy combatant, including citizens, lock them away without access to counsel or due process, to allow and engage in torture by the CIA or anyone else the president chooses to carry it out, to grab people anywhere on the planet, take them to black sites, disappear them in effect, to issue signing statements after he signs a law, saying he reserves the right to not abide by that law, to go to war whenever he chooses, and I can go on. If Bush gets away with all of this, whoever gets elected will have the precedent established, and Congress will simply go along, as they have, because they place party loyalty above country or are afraid to be called, quote-unquote, soft on terror. Thomas Jefferson said, "In matters of power, let us hear no more talk of faith in men, but bind them down with the chains of the Constitution." I hope that you fulfill your obligation to hold those hearings. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Quite a statement.
Thank you.
Congressman?
That many, huh? Whoa.
My name's Mike Ferner.
Ferner.
From Toledo, Marcy Catholic District.
54 miles away from you.
Yeah, right down the road. These of this nature, the handwritten ones, are the ones that were gathered in Wisconsin. There's about 12 or 13,000 of those. And these are the ones that Veterans for Peace gathered on our website. And there's 10,000 of those. And as you can see, they're from all over the country. What I would like to leave you with as my reasons for doing this is I served as a hospital corpsman during Vietnam and took care of a lot of guys that came back in pieces. And I've been to Iraq a couple of times as a journalist, and I know firsthand and have seen what our policies are doing, here and abroad. And what this administration is doing is criminal in many, many ways. We have a 6-page, single-spaced case for impeachment that is documented allegations of what we believe are violations of international law and domestic law, some with eyewitnesses. So we hope that you'll go forward with this. Take this information and the fact that there are hundreds of thousands of people all over the country that are concerned about this issue, and do what you can as chairman to lay down the law to this administration. And we would like to hear what your thoughts are that you alluded to earlier, and maybe we'll have some questions and comments after that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet you. Wow. About how many are these all total?
23,000.
23,000.
Plus change.
What did you say?
Plus change.
Okay, it's more on the way.
Photos.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to review the materials that you've given me. I do have some things that I want to tell you. The problem is that I'm having a hearing going on right now on performance rights for artists, singers, and performers who, for some reason, got cut out of intellectual property protection. And when you hear them over the radio, they don't get a dime for the people. If you write the music, you're okay. You record the music, you get something. But the people that make the song popular get nothing. And we're trying to change that law. And I'm the co-sponsor of the bill and, of course, the chairman of the committee. And so we thought we would have been over with this before now, but things got a little jammed up, as they frequently do. So I want to propose that we meet with this in mind, that we meet again with this in mind, that I would like to make my presentation to you then instead of now. I made an opening statement, but I'm missing a lot of the witnesses. So what I would like to work out is a mutually convenient date when as many of your members as you want to bring, and even those who may not be able to be with you today, are able to come back. And I'd like to go into this and give you some indication of what has been going on and what may be likely to go on. And so, without trying to cut our meeting too short, I wanted to let you know that that is what I propose, and I hope that it will meet with your concurrence.
Could we get cliff notes on tomorrow, please? Could we get some cliff notes on tomorrow's scheduling or the possible vote on the 35 articles tomorrow? Has that come? Is it out of committee on the floor?
It came up today, this afternoon, and it was referred to the Committee on Judiciary, which I chair.
And to get it out of committee will take.
Well, to get it out of committee, it would have to be voted out of committee. First, it has. No, I'd rather hold that for the next time. First, it has to be referred. It's referred to me now. That was the resolution. It passed overwhelmingly. So it is now in my committee. And the question is, what do we do with it? I heard Dennis Kucinich the evening that he introduced the articles of impeachment, some 35, and I commended him on the floor today about the good job that he had done. And he has agreed to meet with me about his articles of impeachment, and by the next time we meet, we will have something to report to you about that.
Point of information in a form of a question. The ranking member controls how many votes, and you have 4 more than the ranking member has on judiciary?
We have more. Yes, that's right.
And the ranking member controls how many votes? 17?
Well, I'm not sure if he would
in fact
agree with me describing that he controls them, because there are frequently times when people vote the way they want to.
Exactly.
They don't care what the ranking member says. Sometimes they even don't care what the chairman says.
Exactly.
But that doesn't happen very often.
Excuse me, Congressman. I apologize. I thank you very much for your willingness to set up another meeting. In our chapter, I'm the treasurer. I'm probably the most disliked person because I'm the treasurer. I'm the fiscal responsibility person. Just to get this group of people together today probably cost offhand $10,000 along with this information, and it's been 2 months in the making. And up until today, we really didn't even have a declared meeting with you. My great concern is for my friends, for my family, for my country. We can't afford to wait another day, and we'd be willing to stay here. We'd be willing to stay nearby today even to get another 30 minutes, if just a quick brief bio of what you want to explain to us later, rather than send us all packing in 25 different directions and then try to gather up the resources that it takes to get together again. And we're working class, and if there's anything you can do to expedite that and maybe help us get a better amount of information before we leave today, just would really appreciate that, and would save us a lot of money. Thank you.
Well, I wish I could accommodate you more. We've got a problem, though. The House is still in session. The committee is still going on. All the appointments that I had from earlier today have been pushed back. And if this was a matter of us taking 30 minutes, I'd be happy to do that. But I have not studied the resolution of impeachment. I heard Dennis Kucinich, and I was impressed with his presentation. But to be able to tell you what I'm going to do with it, and it hasn't even got to the committee yet from the floor, I'm not able to do that. I've got a staff of lawyers. I want to be able to tell you that I've studied this, and the conclusion I've come to is based on more than me telling you I looked at it on television that night, perhaps like you did.
Congressman, I know you're pressed for time. I know many of our people are pressed for time. I think we can try to arrange a meeting between Mike and Ben can coordinate. I'd like to have all of our people make sure they get their names to Mike so we can get the information out to you as we get it and try to coordinate a meeting. I know you're behind schedule and we're behind schedule.
Of course, I apologize for that, but that's the nature of our business, as you all know. Now, I would like those who can come to join. I don't want to just put this down to 2 people, because what I'm going to say, I want as many people to hear me as possible. So anybody in the organization from anywhere that might be able to come when we arrange the dates, and I'd like to maybe give you several dates so that if there's anyone that's more convenient, you'll be able to choose that.
When you're ready to announce impeachment, the whole country will hear you.
Well, that's not why we're having the next meeting, sir. We're having the next meeting for me to respond to the impeachment. Now, if you want to wait that long, I'll be happy to engage you. That's fine. I don't think that should prohibit us from meeting, though, those who want to, between now and then. There's a lot of discussion. I happen to have introduced more impeachment resolutions than any living member of the Senate or the House of Representatives. You may want to hear what I'm thinking and why I've taken the time that I have to do this. If you don't have to come, but I want to make that information available to those that do. In other words, I want to get in a discussion with you. You made a presentation to me. I'd like to make a presentation to you. I mean, is there some fairer way? Yes, sir.
Well, I was just curious as to when, because time is limited, but they're going to work that out.
Then we'll work that out. Nothing you can work with their staff.
Yeah, we'll have a crowd as soon as possible,
Congressman.
as ASAP.
Congressman, might we agree then that there will be time, sufficient time for give and take, and we will consider what you have to say, and we will have time to present our points of view.
I would like to do it via media. We've got all kind of technology, but I like to have people in the room.
Absolutely.
I like to be looking at you and you looking at me. And let's do this. I've been in some debates before. I've had differences of opinion in the course of 42 years. So, I mean, here we are. Frequently, I persuade people to my point of view. And sometimes, I'm sorry to say, I don't. But that's what we're here for. That's what democracy is about. So I thank you very much for the energy, resources, time, money that you spent to come here. And I look forward to us coming back together as soon as we possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Get over here.
Okay.
Stand over here.
My daughter's a writer. That's very important.
Oh, yeah. But they get theirs. But the musicians, they don't get it.
BNI and NASCAR.
My daughter hasn't gotten a penny from
Oh, she hasn't either.
Some of the greatest R&B singers of the 50s are starving to death.
Oh, yeah.
Impeachment of George Walker Bush.
Resolved that President George W. Bush be impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors.
He won't be, but it won't be for lack of trying by Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Nearly 5 hours and 35 articles. It may not be Martin Luther nailing up his indictments on the church door of history, but it's as close as we're going to get. For 4 hours and 40 minutes last night, one United States congressman held forth on the floor of the House of Representatives. No bluster, no filibuster, and no filler. 290 minutes of largely uninterrupted substance outlining a litany of alleged high crimes and misdemeanors committed by President Bush and his administration. Our fifth story on the countdown, the impeachment of George W. Bush. Not that it will ever actually happen, but that it likely will not be due to the quality of the case presented by Democratic Congressman Dennis Kucinich, the Cleveland representative and erstwhile presidential candidate, introducing 35 articles against President Bush on the heels of the Senate Intelligence Committee's report on the administration's misuse of pre-war intelligence, and in the wake of former White House Press Secretary Scott McClellan's published contentions that the president manipulated public opinion through a political propaganda campaign to justify the invasion of Iraq. Mr. Kucinich reading out every word of his 35-count impeachment resolution. Some categories of transgressions: torture, surveillance, obstruction, sheer incompetence, and Iraq, especially Iraq. Mr. Kucinich making clear that the president has violated his oath of office and his constitutional duty that the laws be faithfully executed.
In his conduct while President of the United States, George W. Bush, in violation of his constitutional oath to faithfully execute the office of President of the United States, and to the best of his ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, and in violation of its constitutional duty under Article 2, Section 3 of the Constitution, to take care that the laws be faithfully executed, has both personally and acting through his agents and subordinates, together with the Vice President, illegally spent public dollars on a secret propaganda campaign to manufacture a false cause for war against Iraq.
Kucinich having introduced similar legislation against Vice President Cheney last year. That resolution was referred to the House Judiciary Committee, which has taken no action on the measure. Speaker Nancy Pelosi having consistently stated that there will be no consideration, none, of impeachment proceedings against Mr. Bush, declaring the matter off the table. Tonight, Mr. Kucinich to seek having that measure acted upon. The word is that he has agreed to a full House vote on whether to refer the resolution to the Judiciary Committee, in other words, to send it to the same purgatory the other measure did, but not before the bill is read in its entirety again. I've often argued here that even if you think the words aren't going to lead to any action, say the words anyway, simply to get them on the record for history, and simply because nothing has ever changed from bad to good in this country without somebody first saying, this is bad.
Impeach!